Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an e-commerce business for sale in the home and garden niche. Created in September 2014, this business makes $3,039 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this business is 40993. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Kyron.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Before we dive into the questions, I just want to give a quick summary for everyone out there listening in. As I mentioned, the business was built in September 2014, has a monthly revenue of $11,802 with expenses sitting at $8,763 for that total net profit of $3,039. That is over a 12-month average, and included with the sale of the business is the domain, site content files, the Shopify store, as well as the Amazon seller account. So all that being said, Kyron, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved with online businesses since about, I reckon, 2009, 2010. So I started getting into, I think I began with affiliate marketing back then. I tried a number of different product review blogs, being an affiliate there, reviewing products. Then I went on to, I tried that, not much success. Went on to selling on eBay, sourcing my own products from China and selling them. Then I began looking at Facebook pages, started selling on Amazon. And then I think it was in 2013, 2014, I was on my Facebook feed and I saw a post from someone that put up a dropship store, and the course was called the Anton Method, Dropship Lifestyle.
Yeah. We're friends with Anton.
Oh, okay, brilliant. So it kind of really gauged my interest then. This guy had his back end up and he's made about $20,000, $30,000 of sales in a month. And I thought to myself, firstly, is this another one of those, elaborate marketing scams where we, promise the world and it doesn't work and it's all about just selling courses? So I was a little bit, skeptical at first. So I looked into it and I actually messaged the guy and he was like, no, man, this is legit. The course works. You just got to do the work and, follow Anton's method, what he tells you, and you should be up and running. So I gave it a go. I sat down for 3 months, worked 10, 12-hour days, got my site up and running, and it wasn't a success, shall we say. It didn't work that well. But I didn't stop there. I did another store, which is the one that we have here advertised. And, well, yeah, what can I say, really? This one's been a success. It's worked really well. So, obviously, I've done something right this time round as opposed to the first time. So, yeah.
That's great, man. I find it rare that someone's first site, whether it's an e-commerce store, or niche site, or what have you, is successful. Usually, it takes a few stages of evolving. You're like, okay, what am I doing this time, or what's off this time, or stuff like that. So I can feel your pain with that first site.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right what you just said. And it's crazy. It's almost like I kind of had to go through that first store just to learn and fail and test, and that was a massive part of my learning growth. I look back on it now and I think why did I choose that niche, or why did I do that layout? Why did I choose that theme? And you just obviously, but that's evolution, isn't it? You just don't know back then what you're doing, you're learning, and as you get better at things, you start adjusting and tweaking. And so, yeah, you're right. I'm not seeing many first stores either, actually, that have, been an instant success. So you're absolutely right there.
I've had a litany of niche sites that were not successful myself. So I can speak. I'm part of that club as well. So when you came up with this idea for this niche specifically, what was it that attracted you? Did you do competitor research? Was it something you were already into?
Well, so basically, after I realized that the first store failed primarily because of the niche I chose, I went on a massive mission to discover, how do you find the perfect niche? Now, I know there is no perfect niche, but I thought to myself, how can I do whatever I can do to make sure that I pick a niche that has the highest probability of being profitable? So I spent weeks online researching niche research. I learned loads of different methods to research niches. I learned how to validate them. I think I had a checklist of about 30 criteria that I wanted to pass my niche through. So what I did a list. I think it was about almost hit 1,000 niches. It was about 890 niches on my list. It took me about a month to go through all of them. And in the end, I picked this one out. I used various different factors involved with search volume in a month. I looked at the competitors on page one. I looked at Google Trends. I looked at the long tail keywords. I looked at the big box stores on page one. I looked on Amazon at reviews. I looked on eBay. I looked basically a whole bunch of criteria. So I think my hours of endless research paid off, and this niche has proven to be, obviously, my work has paid off. So I feel thankful for that I've picked a niche like this.
That's great, man. Yeah, that what you said there is such a foundational piece for businesses like these, like getting those keywords right, getting the niche right. Those are such an important part of it all, of the entire process. Now, for someone looking at this business and maybe they're not familiar with dropshipping or even e-commerce, this could be, one of their first online business acquisitions, that is. Could you just briefly describe how this business is making money and maybe a little bit what dropshipping is all about?
Sure, yeah. So this business uses an aspect of e-commerce called drop shipping. So for those that don't know, drop shipping is when customer comes to your store, places an order, pays you, then you will go to your supplier. You'll give the supplier the information of the customer and the product name, and the supplier will then ship the product directly to your customer. So, for example, if the customer buys an item for $200 and you pay the supplier $150, you end up keeping the $50 profit as the seller. So basically, this model, you never get to see or touch the actual item physically, which is a massive benefit. Secondly, you don't need any upfront capital to buy the stock. So this is probably why the dropshipping method has such a massive attraction to it for newbies online and also other people online that want to get into this type of business.
All right, that's a great explanation for sure. So with that said, you spent all this time doing all this niche research, you got the site up and running, you're making a healthy monthly net profit. Why are you selling the business? Why not just keep it and keep growing it?
Well, basically, Greg, with me in online businesses, I also have a lot of offline interests. So at the moment, I've got 2 other stores as well, which I'm actually partnering with somebody else with. But the main reason I'm getting rid of this store is because I don't know if you're aware of the property prices in the UK, but they are rising at an alarming rate. And I just want to get myself on the ladder this year, property-wise, before they go through the roof even more next year. So that really is the main reason. And to be honest with you, I would have rather sold one of the other stores that are making less revenue with having to work more hours during the week. Obviously, I can't do that because I'm with a partner there. So this is the only store that I've got by myself. So it just turns out that this is the store that I can sell as it's mine. That's the only reason it's going.
Gotcha. So you're looking to invest into property, basically, with the capital you get.
Absolutely correct.
It's a great way to do it, man. It'll make a pretty hefty down payment, even on those expensive London flats.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I hope at one point I can actually go right in central London, in the future. But, anywhere in London now will be fine with me anyway. So, yeah, that's basically the plan.
So when you first started this business, after learning the mistakes from your first one, when you created this one, what was the trajectory like for this one? Did you find success early on? Did it take a while to start getting customers? What was the story there?
I set the store up, I think it was September, like you said, 2014. So I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks I actually received my first order. And after that, I noticed the week after I got a couple of sales. So the first month, nothing too amazing, about 4 or 5 sales. The second month went up to about probably 10, 11, 12 sales. And then gradually, every month, I started noticing more and more sales until it took about 5 months, I think, where at that point, I thought to myself, hold on a sec, it's actually generating me a full replacement income now. So it started off slow, but there was a gradual build, and it took about 5 months for it to, ever since then, it's kind of maintained and also grown. So yeah, it's been a gradual little curve at the start, but then it's got to how it is now the last couple of years, which is good.
Excellent, man. Is there anything you learned from this business in particular that you might be applying to future sites or businesses? Anything that worked really well for you?
Absolutely. So obviously, like I mentioned earlier, I touched on the whole niche selection process. I've realized now, for me personally, the niche process is absolutely critical for any e-commerce business. I think for me, it's the most important. If you don't get that part right, I think it's very difficult to try and swing it back and try and make a successful business. Yeah, you will get some sales, but I don't think you're going to get the real big revenue that one would hope if you have a poorly chosen niche. So obviously I've learned a lot from niche research. Also, I've learned tons to do with optimizing e-commerce stores and making them convert. I've learned about how buyers shop around on stores and, like adding trust and value and navigation and I've just learned tons on this store in terms of looking at other sites as well that convert well. So it's been a massive journey, but massive learning curve, but really enjoyable.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, again, niche selection, super important with you on that. Is there anything you did in this business or maybe in your first business, the first site you started that you tried that just didn't work? Something that really stands out to you as maybe buyer, don't do this when you take over this business?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, what you just said in the first one, is this. I did paid ads in the first one on Google, and I didn't realize how much competition I had in that niche, and I ended up spending so much money on ads because
Oh,
everyone was
no.
just competing with each other. So that is what kind of really stands out for me, and which is the reason why when I created this store, I decided to change my strategy here. And I've never used ads for this store, but I went on a very, very aggressive SEO campaign with this store. So that's what I've learned from the first store, and that's what I kind of changed my marketing strategy for this one.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that sounds like you learned your lesson there. I've heard of paid advertising campaigns where the guy ended up spending five, maybe even 10 grand, and like didn't realize that the link in his campaign was wrong, so it was going nowhere. A little bit different problem than what you had, but paid ads is definitely something that needs to be monitored for sure. When it does come to your traffic, so you said you did an aggressive SEO campaign with this store in particular. So is the majority of your traffic coming from Google search then, or are you doing other stuff as well?
100% of my traffic is organic. It comes through Google. I've never used any paid ads. I don't actively use any social media. The reason being is this. I like to create a very, very passive income stream online. So I try and tweak it so it's as passive as possible. I don't want to spend time and money on ads, although I understand fully that there are many people generating huge profits by running ads to their stores. I appreciate that. For me personally, I'm thinking long term here, and I'd rather rank organically. And for me, I'm all about SEO now. I'm about getting the on-site SEO up to scratch, so there's no faults. I'm all about ranking for long-tail keywords, all the keywords, so I'm ranking organically. So I can just kind of like sit back knowing that this store is going to get traffic no matter what without having to rely on ever increasing ad clicks and competitors coming in, etc., and tweaking keywords here and there. That's I appreciate that's for some people, but for me personally, I'd rather have a store like this where it just runs by itself organically.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great strategy. I mean, it's awesome for a buyer who is good with Facebook ads or Google AdWords, et cetera, because all that organic traffic is just gravy on top. So that's really cool. When it comes to how the site is earning, do you have several products? Do you have one product? And if you have several, do you have like how many SKUs are you having or items?
Yeah, okay. I'm on the site now. Total, let's see, I've got 462
Wow.
products at
Nice.
the moment on the store. But the thing is, though, out of that, I'd probably say to you that I'd say that 80% of my sales come from about 100 of those.
Interesting. So do you have like a selection criteria for these products? Like, does your supplier have like a catalog that says like this is our best product and you just go with that, or do you have your own kind of system?
What I like to do is with my suppliers is when I first actually get approved with them, what I do is I upload all their products,
Oh,
all of
really?
them. So what I do in that case is I test and I see which products are selling and which ones are not. And the ones that are not selling, I would either remove them, and the ones that are selling, I'd actually optimize the listings even more. So I'd go in there and I'd rewrite the structure and the text, and I'd kind of add more, I'd make the listing more unique and retouch the photos up. So I kind of keep tweaking back and forth. So that's pretty much what I've been doing so far.
Do you also have an email list that you're building with this at all? Like, I know you say you don't do any social media, but are you like promoting like, hey, we got this new product on there once you realize it's selling a little bit, or?
I'll be honest with you, I've done none of that. I've got no email list. All I've got is over 1,000 emails that were inside the back end of the Shopify store that you get with the customer, with the buyer. That's all I've got.
1,000 customer emails.
Yeah, exactly. They're customer emails, correct.
And how stable are the earnings for the business? Is there any seasonality, like outside of the traditional Christmas and holiday times?
There's no seasonality because this niche is also functional. It's a necessity. It's actually needed, not just in a domestic market, but also in a commercial use. The beauty of that being is they're needed all the time. The only time my sales might dip down a little bit is in December.
Oh, really? Yours dip a little bit. I guess if it's a necessity more so than a gift.
You just said it. These are not really Christmas gifts.
Unless you're a giver of weird gifts, perhaps.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you like getting, gifts like toasters and microwaves and ironing boards, then that's it. Yeah.
So, with that said, are you sourcing any of this product, or any of these products are 100% dropship?
The whole store is 100% dropshipped, which kind of ties in with my whole, as passive as possible.
Right.
So,
right. And you mentioned you do SEO and things like that. So is the content you're adding just the product listings, or are you actually adding like articles, like informational articles of blogging, stuff like that?
So basically, when I used to run product review blogs, a strategy we used to use there to rank our sites on Google would be to upload fresh content on a very regular basis. So having worked back then, I knew that strategy worked. So because of that, on this store, I upload at least 10 or 15 different fresh content blog posts every month. At the moment on the store, looking at it now, there's 374 blog posts.
Wow.
And in each blog post, I make sure that I pick out long tail keywords which are relevant to my niche. So I use them for Google to have fresh content so they can, which helps with the rankings. And secondly, it brings in traffic as well from the search engines. So yeah, I put fresh content on this site every month.
So are you writing all this content yourself, or do you have writers that do that?
I've got a writer that I found on Fiverr.com who is one of the best I've ever come across. At the start, I think I went through about 6 or 7 different sellers, all because it didn't flow and it wasn't like how I would write it. It wasn't smooth and it wasn't engaging and it wasn't nice to read. And luckily I found this guy from the UK actually.
Oh, really?
English born. And his writing is absolutely unbelievable. I think he's had jobs before for working for newspapers and etc. So really good content. And I've used him for the last year and a half on a regular basis.
I'm assuming the buyer would be able to use his services if they wanted to keep adding content.
Absolutely. I will give the buyer this contact, and I'm sure the outsourcer will be more than happy to continue the relationship with the new buyer.
Excellent. Moving into some opportunities for this business, let's pretend you're going to keep this business, you're going to keep growing it. What would be the least risky path you'd focus on to grow the business?
So firstly, I'd source more suppliers. I'd add more products. I'd also actually optimize the store even more. I'm noticing now that videos are becoming quite the big thing now in e-commerce stores. So I would probably rather than just have static images for the products, I'd have a video where you get someone demonstrating how it's used in the home, the benefits of it. I'll also add more content, more articles like how-to guides. I'll probably tackle the social media as well for those that are good at social media, and then I'd introduce a whole load of different paid ad campaigns from either Google or Facebook. I'd even look at taking my 3 best sellers and have a little look over in China and just seeing just how much I could get the 3 best sellers for made per unit, because I'm sure I've seen it before on Alibaba products similar to what I'm selling, and the margin can be as much as like 80-90%. So that's obviously someone wants to go down that road of actually, physically getting them sourced. So, there's quite a bit you could do with this to grow this.
And what would you do if you were incredibly risky and just threw caution to the wind, wanted to grow the business as quickly as possible? Would you do anything different?
Incredibly risky. I'm not too sure. I mean, I'd carry on as I am with what I just said. You could probably try and add some actual accessories to this niche, which I don't have yet. That's just going to be extra income. I don't see why that wouldn't work, because the accessories for this niche go with this niche. I just don't want to, for me personally, I'd rather get the most amount of profit per sale as possible. So I've kind of left that alone. So you could do that. I don't know. There's a number of ways to look at this. I've got a number of products here that are doing well. You could try and maybe even ship globally. Speak to the suppliers and ship to the States, to Europe. So you could go down that route as well.
Are you shipping primarily just to the UK right now?
At the moment, I'm shipping to UK, and I ship to Germany, France, Italy as well.
Well, speaking of shipping to other countries and multi-channel kind of selling, you also have an Amazon seller account. So are you selling your dropship items through Amazon as well?
Correct. What I've done is it's basically worked out quite well here, because my best selling products actually all come from one supplier, believe it or not. So I spoke to my supplier and I said, look, do you mind if I sell your products on Amazon? And he was like, absolutely. So last, I think October or November, I put all the products on Amazon, and yeah, it just did really well. And the reason that I'm in a good position here with these best-selling products is because he's given me exclusive rights. So I'm the only person in the UK that can sell these products. Because of that reason, no one has jumped on my listings, because they can't get these products either. So
that's awesome.
It really is awesome. And because of that, it's just been an absolute joy to have an Amazon business there as well, where the same supplier not only drop ships to the store, but also to Amazon. So it just works. It's a win-win for me. So it's just worked really well.
When someone buys your product off of Amazon, does your supplier have to ship it to Amazon and then Amazon ships it to the customer, or does your supplier just ship it to the customer, like Amazon gives them like, hey, this is the address or whatever?
So basically, if an Amazon buyer buys one of my products from my Amazon store, what I do is I will just send the address over to the supplier, and the supplier will ship directly to the customer.
Awesome.
So
cool.
The same method as the Shopify store.
That's awesome, man. You're actually the second person I've heard who's been doing drop shipping on Amazon, which I just recently found out that was a thing. I think that's really cool. You mentioned earlier, we were talking about opportunities, about maybe looking for more suppliers and accessories. Do you have a way you go about finding those suppliers, like judging what is a good supplier or a bad supplier, etc.?
Well, yeah, I mean, the method I used to find these suppliers was by using the method that Anton taught us in the Dropship Lifestyle course. I'm not sure if you're aware of the exact strategy that he taught us. So I kind of just use that method. I also go on to, I look at not just sites in the UK, but I like to go into Europe as well and see what stores there are selling, which relate to my niche. And then I'll find the manufacturers. And then all I do is I just pick up the telephone, I give them a call and say, hey, I've got this business. I love the products that you guys do, and I think they look great in my range. How can we go about opening a trade account with yourselves? So that's what's worked for me, and that's probably what I'd carry on doing if I was going to expand this business even further.
Excellent. When it does come to risk, stepping back a little bit here, what do you think the biggest risk is to a business like this that buyers should be aware of?
Okay, so the obvious risks which could happen to any e-commerce store out there is obviously the two, which is the first one being we can't stop competitors coming up against us. So there's that as well that I'm always wary about. But the way I see it, I strongly believe that the way I've done my store, very difficult for someone to come along now and try and outrank me unless they're a massive, big box store. So obviously that's always at the back of my mind, but I can't control that. Secondly, is Google's algorithms and updates that they bring out. I don't know how they're going to affect me as an independent business. So Apart from that, and obviously the third one being that, say the internet, dies tomorrow and there's no internet.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I can't really see any other risks associated with this store right now. And I'm being brutally honest. If I would, I'll say them to you right now, but I can't think of anything else.
You even mentioned the risk of like a meteor hitting or anything.
Oh, do you know what? I don't know how I missed that one out. You know that to me.
Be a little bit more serious, but I obviously, it's all organic search, so there is the possibility that Google's algorithm will change, but again, that's something that can happen to everyone. It does continuously happen to everyone. But yeah, definitely, I see your point there. Well, when it comes to the work required to maintain the site, you mentioned that you look for more passive, so I'm assuming this is fairly hands-off for you, but can you describe like what you're doing on a weekly or monthly basis right now to maintain the business as is?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a little rundown daily as well for you, so people know exactly what they can expect here. In the morning, I log on to my emails. I log on onto the store, and I just spend literally, I'd say, about 10 minutes just fulfilling the orders, answering a couple of emails. Then I'm done. Every couple of days, I'll upload a new blog post to the back end of the store. And then every couple of weeks, I'd reorder some more content from my writer on Fiverr. And then once a month, I might sit down for an hour or two and upload more products. I'd look at maybe optimizing the store, and I'd hire someone to do a few tweaks on the store that I think are going to help with the conversions. Otherwise, you could probably spend 5 minutes on this. I go some days I don't even look at it. Weekends, I don't touch it at all. Most weeks I can get away with spending under an hour on this. When I was away traveling in February, when I was in Thailand for a month, I think I went like 2 days is the maximum I think I'd leave this, because obviously I don't want to not answer emails quickly. I think customer service is a big part of my game. I don't want to leave people hanging. So if I can avoid it, I like to get on here every day for at least 5-10 minutes just to keep on top of things. So
yeah, definitely. Customer service is always, again, one of those pillar foundational things for the business.
Absolutely.
Is there any skills you'd suggest that a buyer have before they purchase a business like this?
Well, looking at the business, if I'm honest with you, if you can copy and paste, you could pretty much run this business. There's nothing technical about it. There really isn't. It's just, I've done all the hard work at the start. I've built it. I've got fantastic products. It ranks really well for loads of keywords. It's got the traffic there. You don't really need to do anything. It's got no paid advertising. So there's no skills and knowledge and talent needed behind that. It's got there's no email campaigns and making the opt-ins, and there's no, social media. There's no Facebook ads to do. It's pretty much, it's smooth. I'm sure anyone who can look at their emails and their inbox can run this store. I don't see how they can not.
Moving into some wrap-up questions here, would you be willing to commit to a non-compete with a buyer?
100% I will do that, yeah, 100%.
And how much support would you be willing to offer them?
I will give them, I think on the list, I can't remember what I put there. I think I put like maybe 30 days or 60 of unlimited Skype support and emails. But to be honest with you, I just want to help the new buyer as much as possible. So I will happily continue that on for as long as they want, just so they can be reassured and confident that they've got me there if they need me. So if I'm around and I can answer the call, I will answer it, and I will help them out as much as possible, as much as they need.
Excellent. Great, man. Now, obviously, the best case scenario here for you and for Empire Flippers is someone comes in and buys this business for full list price. But with that said, would you at all be open to, say, 80% upfront and 20% over a few months, or perhaps after a training period of some kind?
Yeah, if a buyer is really serious and they really want the store, but they're restricted due to their financial means, then sure, yeah, I'll be happy to come to some kind of arrangement with them, as long as, like you said, it hits minimum 80% up front.
Cool. Awesome. And obviously, each one of those kind of things is very personalized, individualized, all that kind of stuff. So definitely. So I have one final question for you, Karen. But before I ask you my hot seat question, if you will, just to give a quick summary of the business again for everyone out there listening. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, it was built in September 2014, has a monthly revenue of $11,802, expenses sitting at $8,763 for that total net profit of $3,039. That is over a 12-month average And included in the sale of this business is the domain, the site content file, Shopify store, as well as the Amazon seller account. So, Kyron, my final question for you is, what is your best pitch in 30 seconds or less on why someone should purchase this business?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I've done all the hard work setting the store up. It's up and running, making, a consistent revenue each and every month. It ranks completely organically. Traffic always comes in. At the moment, I'd say that this niche literally dominates the market of this niche in the UK. I say it is the authority. My best-selling products, you'll have an exclusive right to only sell them. So no need to worry about other competitors coming in and, taking your sales. It pretty much, it runs itself. Very, very easy to run. Requires very little attention. I'd say on most weeks, I spend about less than an hour a week on this store. And just lastly, I'd say the potential to grow it and scale it is massive, as I've never even touched paid ads, any social media, or any type of opt-ins and email lists. So, I know I'm trying to sell this store, but I genuinely mean this. For a buyer taking this on, it's just ridiculous amount of scope and improvement, and I can't see how you can't grow it if the right seller gets their hands on it.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. It's cool that it's all organic traffic right now. There's huge opportunity with email lists, and of course, for anyone who does paid ads, there's that opportunity there as well. So for everyone out there, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want more information about this business, the link will be below the video in the description. That will take you to the marketplace listing. Now, if you're watching this on the actual listing page and you want more information, you can become a depositor today. All you do is click the button, make a deposit, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. So Kyron, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Greg. It's been good to speak to you. Thank you.